Welcome to our podcast and strap in for Movie Monday. Hi, I'm Minky Madison.
And I'm Jack Green.
Today on Movie Monday, we discuss Watch If You Dare, the 2008 unrated horror/horror comedy anthology. The overall synopsis is, well, it's actually just a collection of disturbing short films, basically.
I gave it a two kernels. How about you?
I gave it 1.5. I basically think two are pretty good and two are pretty terrible. So averaged out, it ended up being 1.5.
That's a much more scientific. Mine was more of an emotional rating, I guess. But yeah, it was not far off from yours. A half kernel
Yeah,
doesn't mean much.
yeah, true. Okay, stop and watch the movie first now, or strap in for major Watch If You Dare spoilers. So, what was your favorite line, if any?
I did not have a favorite line. It
Okay.
was all pretty bland.
So, I do actually have one favorite line, which I normally have many, so that tells you something, but it's from the last movie, Knob Goblin, and it's simply, keep moving, idiot. That made me laugh. Okay, do you want to start with the first film, The Stylist?
Yeah. So the Stylist, that one wasn't too bad compared to the offerings that were in store
Yeah,
for.
I
But
agree.
I like that it had a twist. I like that
Mhm.
these were quick stories and that this one had a twist that it got to pretty quickly without dragging on and being really boring.
Right.
There wasn't really much to the story. Um, that kind of destroyed any hope for it.
And do you have cons and pros for it, or?
Yeah. So well, I mean that was my pro is that it was quick basically and
Okay.
that it had a twist. So it had
Yeah.
that going for it, but in the end, the pros didn't weigh out against heavily enough against the cons, which is that it wasn't long enough and there wasn't enough of this actual story there to tell. I would have liked backstory on the villain, basically. The I don't know what you would call her. What is that? Skinned
Villain?
or no, no. I'm saying, what would you call what she did to her in the film?
Oh,
Scalp.
yeah.
So I would like to know more on why she did that. Maybe they told me and it didn't come through. Maybe they did it
They-
in a really subtle way.
Yeah, no, they didn't, because that's one of my cons too, actually.
Okay, so yeah, that's a con. Wasn't long enough. Didn't explain the motivations of the killer, basically. That's pretty much it. It was how long would you say that was? Like a 15-minute story?
Yeah, yeah, roughly about that.
Yeah, it was not long. There wasn't enough to enjoy or hate. Um,
I think I liked that one more than you did. I gave it a rating of 3 for that one. Did you rate
oh,
them separately?
I rated it overall generally, but if I were to give that one a rating, it would probably be a two.
Okay. Yeah, because the thing for me, oh, are you done with your list?
Yeah.
Okay, so I gave it a 3. I actually did like it. I'll start with my cons though. So I would have liked to better understand her motivation, like you were saying. And it could be argued that she's just crazy. So, and like doesn't
Yeah.
even know why she's doing it herself. But I still would have liked some more backstory on why. So I totally agree with you on that. Also, I was disappointed when it ended because I kind of wanted more. I wanted her to show up at the party and pretend to be his wife or something. I think that would have been hilarious. So I,
Yeah,
they missed out on some moments that they could have really made it more interesting, I guess, and brought more to the story. So
definitely.
pros, yeah, and then my pros was it was executed well. I think it really was filmed well, and I think the actors were good, like the actresses, especially the main girl, because I thought if you remember the end scene where she's wearing that lady's hair basically and like part of her soul, and she's pretending to be her and periodically breaking down because she knows
Yeah.
she's insane, and something within her regrets being this way, but not enough to actually stop. So I think you could read all that on her face expression. So I think the actress did really well because she was crazy, and part of her wanted to and part of her didn't want to do it, and it all showed on her face, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I second all of that actually. I agree with all of that. You phrased it a lot better than I did, but had potential and then didn't really go anywhere with it.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I wish there had been like another like 10 or 15 minutes, like maybe double that length and brought more to, like you said, the backstory and motivations. And
yeah,
I
so they
still think she should have showed up at the party because that would have been
yeah,
bonkers.
yeah, and it would have been creepy too, like really like
Yeah.
scary. But they had, like you said, this it was filmed nice. They had good lighting, they had good acting. Yeah, they had everything they needed, but they just
Yeah,
failed to materialize.
exactly.
So,
The second film was called Ink. Do you want to go on your cons and pros for that one?
well, Ink, it was a little too gross for my liking. I don't like that type of gory horror. Um,
Yeah,
and I don't recall there really being a twist like the first story had. It was just
right. That's true.
this very general story about a psychopathic man who stole tattoos from people and then sewed them onto his body. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can't say that that was like a super unique idea. It was very disgusting. I'll give them that. Like any lovers of really gory horror, I guess would find something to like there. I I I thought there was going to be a supernatural twist maybe to it.
Yeah, it could have been better. So your cons are that it was gross, right? Like it.
Yeah, my cons are too gross. Once again, not enough story or character
Mhm.
development. Which I understand that it's short, so they can't do a lot of that, but it seems like they do as little as possible.
Yeah,
That's what my problem is. And I also didn't like the ending. It didn't really shock me or add anything to it. And kind of more of relief, right?
yeah, it was.
So, but yeah, that pretty much covers it. The only pro I would say is it was, I don't know. The tattoos were cool to look at. Like that was a pro, I guess.
So basically no pros.
Basically, no
That was some
pros.
fine artwork. I'll go into mine then. I rated this one a 3 as well. These were the two that I liked the most. Did you give this one a rating? I'm assuming a 2 or a 1.
Probably a one actually.
A 1. Okay. So for me, my cons were pretty much like you said. It was just super disturbing to watch. And I didn't understand why he kept doing it because it was clear that they were getting infected.
Yeah.
And he just kept persisting on cutting more and adding more tattoos into the wounds. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what exactly his deal was. And again, like you said too, I would have liked more backstory on his character and like why he's motivated to do this rather than just get his own tattoos, like on his own skin.
Yeah.
The only thing that I could think is in the background, he did have what looked like some monster type Frankenstein type pictures. I don't know if you saw that too. So I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe he wanted to be a kind of Frankenstein himself and he was just crazy and it wasn't clear. I don't know if they hinted at that or not or from just reading into it, but then my pros were it was unique in my opinion. I haven't really seen someone capturing people just to cut off their tattoos and put them on themselves. Because that, I mean, there was a lot to that. He had to actually save them in newspaper and cut his own skin off to fit the perfect pieces and then like sew it back. And I don't know. So, like you said, it was very disturbing and gross. And it was interesting. I mean, I was watching it. So, and I was glad at the end that he got caught, but I did feel like it was missing something. It was just kind of like watching a disturbed man for a while. It was really creepy. So, I think they did good for what it was. I just wish there was more to it, like you were saying.
Yeah. I mean, theoretically, it could have become really interesting had they went in a different direction with it. But
Uh,
I will say that it did make me wonder what's required for something like that to work. Did you have to like connect blood vessels, or it's like basically skin grafting, I guess.
yeah, and I don't think he did any
Um,
kind of blood vessel connecting. It looked like he just because remember his skin didn't even totally reach. Like I think the piece that he would put wasn't quite the size of the opening he had cut on himself, so it was not even
stretch.
fully covering the or not fully closing the wound. It looked like
Yeah. Ugh.
And it was pretty gross too when he was like squeezing all that gunk out of it and then adding
Hmm.
cream. Like it was just nasty, man. I don't know. I have to give it three because it was done well, but it was really gross and it's not something I would want to watch again.
Oh, yeah, I would. I actually had to consider turning it off. Like, I just have a weak stomach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was wondering how you were gonna do with that. And I almost messaged you too to see if you wanted to stop watching it.
Mm.
So
That's gonna live in my memory. I'll give it that. It leaves an impression. Mm.
scarring.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what they were going for, but they succeeded with that. So, but okay, so the third film was Foodie. I rated it a 0.
I gave it a 4.
A 4? Lies.
No, I'm kidding. Um, Oddly enough, I would give that a higher rating. I might give that a 3 actually.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I went with 0. So let's hear your cons and pros.
Uh, my pros were it was just I don't know, it was fun. I didn't know what was going to happen necessarily because it was also weird. Um, and never scared for the characters. So I was more free to enjoy it in the sense that I could just take it for what it is. Because he was a goofball, the main character is,
Right.
and
True.
like everyone was so goofy that it almost became comical for my experience.
Hmm.
And so I think that's why I could enjoy it maybe more than you. I wasn't trying to taking it seriously beyond like 5 minutes in.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely a comedy, like straight comedy. The first two we watched were straight horror, and then this one was comedy basically.
Yeah, and oddly enough, I feel like that's what saved it. Gave it any redeeming quality of stuff that it was comedy. But yeah, it was. I really would have liked them to do more with this as all the others because I didn't like the ending. I didn't like that. I was liking that he was getting his revenge.
Hmm.
I was like, so I want to see more of that, and it kind of just shuts it down. And I don't know about you, but did you see the spider on the screen?
Yeah, the
I
dad.
thought that was on my phone when I watched it.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, it freaked me out. I actually had to like wipe my phone off, and then I rewound, and I found out it was just a fake. It was in the movie, not
That's
on my
hilarious.
actual phone. So yeah, that gave me a scare. So that gives it an extra kernel right there. Interactive TV. No.
I wish I
um.
had that experience. I think my phone was too far away when I had it.
Oh yeah. Well, mine was right on my lap, and I'm thinking a spider's crawling across my phone screen.
That's hilarious. Yeah, mine was propped up. If it was on my lap, I probably would have thought that too. That's funny.
Yeah. Now, what were my cons that I not like about this? Well, one,
Hmm.
I think I stated, which is that I wanted to do more with it, and I didn't like the way it ended. But I don't know. I would say I would maybe criticize the acting, but it was supposed to be comical, so I don't think it's that they were doing a bad job of acting. They were actually doing exactly what was intended, probably. I thought they were gonna like take his kidneys, put him in the tub full of ice, like the urban legend, and I thought that would be it. But instead, it turned into this thing where they kept coming back over and over and taking pieces of him. What?
Yeah, like harvesting them bit by bit.
Yeah, I thought it was just gonna be a straight kidney heist, and then he would wake up in a bathtub of ice somewhere else, not like at the scene of the crime.
Right.
Um, they felt obviously comfortable at the dinner party to mutilate a person piece by piece without getting caught. So, what
Yeah.
did you think?
Well, my first thought was, what the halibut is this? Because it was just bizarre. Because we just watched two like very horrific ones, right?
Hmm.
So I didn't expect comedy at all, and so I was just like, what am I watching right now? Um, I don't know. So for my cons, it was just really weird and boring for me. And it wasn't really
Oh,
funny. Like I felt like it was more just stupid. I didn't really like it. That's why I gave it 0. And then
wow.
a few things. I feel bad. I'm obviously not the only one whose opinion matters though, because you liked it. You give it a 3. So it's not
Yeah,
for everyone, but it is for some people. I'm just kidding. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. And people liked it or it wouldn't have been on this movie, right? So,
yeah, that's
um,
true.
okay, so my other cons were he didn't seem to be in a hurry at all to get out of there after he killed that first man when he got out of the tub. He was taking
Oh,
his
yeah.
full time, which was weird. And his phone goes off at full volume in the kitchen, which would echo, and he answered it and nobody even noticed. So I thought that was also really weird. Then later, there's 5 people who find and corner him, and not one of them grabs a weapon. He's like one man who's injured, and he's holding one, like, I think it was a broken beer bottle as a weapon, and they're all like terrified, like, oh, don't hurt us. Like, it was just weird. I'm like, what is happening? There's 5 other adult people that are not even trying to get out of this. That was just bizarre to me. I don't know. Like, maybe they were going for that to be funny, but it was just confusing to me. It didn't give the vibe that they were trying to be funny with it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe it's just not my kind of humor, so I didn't get what they were going for. I don't know. It's also what I imagine like Cannibal Club would be like if we visited. Remember that website, cannibalclub.org,
Yeah.
where they're
Yeah.
shockingly actually
Hmm.
supposedly serving human meat to like celebrity clientele, according to them, which is pretty sick. But yeah, if you want to
Yes.
check that out, that's apparently a real thing. But okay, so those are my cons. So my pros, I really only had one, but it was a pretty good pro actually. I probably to rate again, maybe giving it a 1, just because this did make me laugh. This is the only thing. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, so it was the only part that made me laugh. It was when he entered the kitchen right after getting out of the tub and saw his seasoned thigh skin on the counter. Then his kidneys on the cutting board, and he wasn't even aware that they were missing, so he like checked his body and they were gone. And then he saw his fingers frying unattended in a pan. And
Oh,
I just thought that was kind of funny. I don't know. It's gross, but it kind of hit me funny because he's just like seeing his whole body basically being served up. It was funny. Yeah, that was it.
yeah, that was gross.
Yeah, it was gross, but that part was actually funny to me. But it was the only one. Okay, so the fourth film is Goblin. I also rated that one a 0. What did you give it?
I would give that a 0. Yeah.
Okay. And do you want to go into your cons?
I didn't trace a hint of a plot, and it was bizarre.
Yeah.
It was hyper bizarre, and I found myself desperately trying to figure out what was going on, but there was no
Mhm.
connections to be made for me at least. But yeah, I got a 0. I can't think of any really positives about it. Um, so I mean, it was, I don't know. I can't. I was gonna say it's entertaining, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
attention seeking in a weird way. Like, so I did watch it. I didn't turn it off, but it wasn't rewarding.
Right. No, I feel pretty much like you did. I also gave it a 0. Do you have any more pros or cons? Sounds like you don't, but
No.
okay. So my cons was pretty much the same as yours. There wasn't much of a story to it. I mean, I understood it. It was that his brother masturbated in the house and the knob goblin came and ate his penis.
Hmm.
And he found him as a child, and as an adult he was in therapy to try to get over that because they didn't believe him. So this was kind of to prove that that never actually really happened and it was all in his head and his brother just died or whatever. So yeah, he goes in there as an adult, masturbates, and then the knob goblin eats him too, or eats his penis too. Like that's all the story was. It was really lame. So yeah, my cons were it was just dumb. And like you said, there wasn't much to the story. It was just it left a lot to be desired there. And then my only pro was the Knob Goblin. Looked like a cheap imitation of Jim Henson, like or not of Jim Henson, but of one of his puppets.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought the same thing actually.
Yeah, so that kind of made me laugh. I liked the look of it, but that was it. So I don't know. And it did have my favorite line, "Keep moving, idiot." So
Well, there you go. Mm.
yeah, so it was great. If you want to see a Jim Henson puppet knockoff and one funny line, there you have it there in Knob Goblin.
Uh,
So yeah.
Thankfully, that closed out the selection.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it did. I feel like they did themselves a disservice by playing the two creepy ones that were better back to back. Because then I was kind of expecting the other ones to be up to that level, and then they just weren't, and they just kept getting worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. They were, I mean, none of them were real great, so maybe it doesn't matter.
I like horror anthologies too, so I was excited when I found this title, but it was dead in the water,
Yeah,
so pretty quick.
pretty
Um,
much. Oh, and we also are going to add this other one. So also today on Movie Monday, we are going to discuss Crated, the 2020 thriller movie written by and starring Kyle Godfrey. The synopsis is a group of people wake up locked in a crate with no memory of who they are or how they got there. So I had no favorite line. Did you?
No, no favorite.
Yeah, and I gave it one kernel. What did you rate it?
0.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you why?
Yeah, go ahead and go into your cons and pros.
Okay, so my long list of cons for this, um,
I almost just spit water. I just took a drink. That was funny. My long list.
my long list of
So,
cons,
yes, let's hear 'em.
have to do with that this film was very similar to one of those short stories from the horror anthology, but it's kind of as if you took the worst story from the horror anthology and then expanded on it, but didn't have any good ideas. It felt like the story was suspended, and it began in media res, so it started in the middle. I felt like I just jumped into the middle of the story. That wasn't interesting. The most interesting part was when he had a dream, which is ironic because, that's not even
Yeah,
in the real world. But the dream of him
right.
with the chainsaw cutting himself out of this crate that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That was entertaining. But
I
it
agree
didn't
with
last
you.
very long. And you had a lot of bland dialogue, and due to the characters being separated in different crates, I feel like they couldn't really form a big connection with each other because they're like screaming at each other across the field.
Right.
And I don't feel like I really know them. It didn't offer up enough backstory about them and who these people are for me to care. So, so you have blind characters that you don't care about, and then you have tenuous connections between them that also don't create any feelings. And then you set all this within a story that doesn't have a lot of meat to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like these are ingredients basically that are going to lead to a bad meal or a bad recipe.
Yeah.
And that's what it was, a bad experience. So there was running, I like that. But I was
Was there
rooting.
running?
I believe so. The one character escapes, remember?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they're like, he's
Yeah, there
out.
was running.
Yeah. That was supposed to be the climax, I suppose. And the film was short. Do you recall? It was,
Yeah, it was an hour, I think.
yeah,
6 minutes, I think.
yeah, which is probably good, because I can't imagine if that was 2 hours or,
Oh no, I wouldn't have finished it. I don't know. We
yeah,
could have discussed it. I don't think we would have wanted to finish it, sadly enough.
yeah. But I'm glad they were
So was your,
creative. Hmm?
sorry, what?
I just said I'm glad they were creative because they were uninspiring and uninteresting people.
Oh.
What did you think?
Was your pro that they were running?
Yeah, my pro was that there was running, and that was like making me think something was going to happen. So that was the first time, someone escapes, and you're like, oh wow, maybe they're actually going to turn a corner and go somewhere with this. But no, it
Right.
was a false start. Nothing came of it.
Sad.
Yeah, and you had the hooded figures. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said,
Yeah, that
they
was just weird.
they really had you going. Like there was gonna have a story come out of this, but it was a tease.
Well, what's funny is they kind of did at the end, but it came out of nowhere, which is some of my pros and cons.
Oh
Do you have more to
no,
list?
that was all.
Okay, so my cons, my biggest one ultimately is that it was mostly boring because most of it takes place inside the crates, which are painted this weird, like light tan color,
Yeah,
which lacks any kind of visual stimulation. So we're seeing that the whole time. So it was pretty boring. And then a few things that didn't really seem realistic. Like he tries calling when he wakes up in the crate and he doesn't have a phone connection, like no reception. And the moment he can't make a call out, he throws his phone really hard down on the crate. Did you see that?
I do recall that.
Yeah, the phone didn't break, but still, if I'm trapped in some crate, I don't know where I am, and I can't get a signal, the first thing I do is not to throw my phone down as hard as I can on the crate in frustration. Like that, no one would do that. So that immediately, that was pretty quick in the movie, and that immediately I was like, what the hell? Like, again, granted, he didn't break it, but he could have.
Yeah, that's a
So that was just,
lifeline.
Yeah.
So
And it's not even like he'd been trying it for, weeks at a time or, well, however long his battery lasts, you know what I mean? That was like his first time trying to call and it didn't work with no signal and he's so mad that he throws it on the ground.
yeah, I can't picture
Whatever that
myself
was.
ever doing that because even if it went dead,
Exactly.
I might find a charger. You never throw away tools that could help
Mm-hmm.
you.
Exactly. So that was just nuts. Okay, and then along the same lines of this, like realisticness, he only got one glass of water and he was drinking it like a psychopath, like a deprived animal, and it had only been one night. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's one glass. He has no idea where it came from, if more is coming or not. And he's like spilling half of it down his shirt and drinking it like a lunatic. And it made no sense. Because anyone else in that position, I feel like, or at least me, I would make that water last as long as I possibly can and like sip it, you know what I mean? Not waste anything. And he's just like literally dropping half of it on the ground. Like that made no sense to me at all.
Yeah, that's kind of silly. I mean, I would savor every drop.
Exactly. Yeah, and you would be waiting and not, he was just stupid. The way he was eating the food and drinking the water like it was gonna be there again without knowing anything about where he is or what's going on was just bizarre. So there was that. Okay, the ending didn't make sense to me because why wouldn't they have just explained that to them in the beginning? Instead of the whole crate thing, like they didn't make sense to me why they would even bother crating those people. Why wouldn't they have just taken them up to space to the new Earth to begin with? You know what I mean? Like why this whole crating. Did you like? Did I miss something?
No, I don't. Yeah, I felt the same way.
Okay, so my understanding of the movie is they're crated. They don't know where they're at. He has to find that book to figure out some code on the keypad that's like right there, which is another con. Why the hell would he not have felt that keypad? If you're stuck in a crate, there's nothing to do. Wouldn't you reach your arm out and like feel around and just see if there's anything around there?
I would. I feel like anyone would.
So yeah, so I feel like he should have found that keypad the first night. Not that he would know the code, but at least he would know it's there and be trying it or something, not have to find that notebook to get the key code or whatever. It was just bizarre. And another thing, if you know someone's coming in there every night somehow, giving you food, why wouldn't you stay the awake? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you stay awake and see how this dude's coming in and like try to escape next time he comes in?
Yeah, that's what didn't make sense to me. They feel like they were helpless. And I don't think anyone will be that helpless.
Yeah, and the walls, whenever they would kick them, they would move a lot. So they tried to make it like it was so indestructible. Like every time they barely touch it, it moved. Like it was clearly not made well. So they could have definitely, well, I don't know about definitely, but they could have done better trying to get out of there. I don't know,
Paper mache
but
props, I guess.
yeah, damn near paper mache. Like I get that they made the movie on a budget. Totally, they could have done a little better. So yeah, there was a lot of plot holes with that ending. That just came out of nowhere. Like I get they were trying to be creative and interesting with it because it was, but it didn't make sense with the rest of the movie. You can't have an ending that makes the rest of your movie not make any sense.
Yeah.
They should have started the movie where they're on this new Earth and trying to figure out that would have been more interesting, I think.
And the fact that they
So I
use
don't know.
crates, just stuff out of wood, like that's the material they use.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, that's a
bizarre.
good point actually. Yeah, the whole thing didn't make any sense to me. Okay, so I do have a few pros. I do like the concept enough to have watched it because I did like the idea of someone waking up in a crate, not knowing where they're at. It was just done totally night and day from what I thought it was going to be done like.
Yeah.
So I wish I had done it differently, but it doesn't mean that the premise itself was bad. It's just the way they did it. And it's an independent movie, so even though I wasn't a fan, I do applaud them for going out and making it because that's what they wanted it to be, and they accomplished it. So that's good. It's still an accomplishment if they liked it and that's what they were going for. The ending, although I don't understand why they put them in crates to begin with, like I was saying, and didn't just put them right on the new Earth. I do like the ending. I do think it was interesting. I just wish they had made it work with the rest of the movie that they made. And like you were saying, that chainsaw dream part was really funny actually because he finally escapes, and the first guy he goes to puts him right back in the box. And I thought that was really funny, but it did make sense. And then you realize it's a dream, so then it did. I feel like it was a strong one. Like I did finish it, if that's anything, but it wasn't something I would watch again.
That is true. They should get one just for completing the film.
Yeah.
but I think you gave a fair assessment.
Oh, good. I try. Your assessment, on the other hand, was lacking. No, I'm just kidding.
It was
You
comparative.
didn't. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, so that's those two awful movies. Go see them.
Go see them, and when you arrive back with us, we will have another movie for you. Hopefully, a good one. But with the way this pattern
Yeah.
is going, I wouldn't hope, get my hopes up.
This is true, and it's on his shoulders. He'll be picking the next one.
I
So
will. I'm really gonna pick carefully after these past two films. I don't like to suffer.
yeah, it'd be nice if we could have all winners.
Yeah, I want something that gets my heart going and my mind thinking about it long after I've watched it. I don't think that's too much to ask.
No, it's definitely possible.
Well, we'll see you next time.
You didn't say that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Lone Food Media.